Hello, mystery fans. Well, it turns out yesterday's video I was wrong. Yesterday's episode was the penultimate episode, and this is the final episode of season 2 of Veronica Mars. So, yeah, that was a major oopsie on my part, so, yeah. So, today we're going to look at the final episode of season 2 of Veronica Mars, Not Pictured. So, let's take a look at it. After the Aaron Eccles trial, he is interviewed by press and cheering fans. Veronica tells Keith that the Manning father had offered $20,000 for the capture of Woody. Veronica talks to Wallace about Jackie leaving. Keith visits Vinny in prison, and they agree to track down Woody together. Veronica and Keith learn that Woody was treated for chlamydia. In a dream, Veronica shares a happy family breakfast before graduation, meeting with Wallace for the first time that day before meeting Lily. Veronica makes a fake call as Gia to Woody's lawyer, and he reveals that Woody was living at the Quail Creek Lodge under the name Mr. Underhill. At Veronica's graduation, Keith says that he's going to chase Woody, and Mac tells Veronica that she's going to a hotel with Beaver that night. Just before he can graduate, Weevil is arrested for the murder of Thumper during the ceremony. Veronica graduates and says goodbye to Principal Clemens. Keith surprises Veronica with plane tickets to New York. Nice. Alicia Fennell tells Veronica that Wallace has left for Paris to track Jackie. Veronica calls Jackie and tells her that she knows she was never accepted to Sorbonne and asks her to meet Wallace in New York. At Woody's hiding place, Keith attacks and tasers him. However, Woody denies crashing the bus. Veronica sees a Little League team picture in Woody's restaurant, which suggests that Beaver was on Woody's baseball team and thus connected to the crash. Veronica dashes to the after-graduation party. Beaver and Mac are about to have sex, but while she's in the shower, Beaver reads a text from Veronica to Mac warning her, and Beaver texts Veronica to meet her on the roof. Aaron Eccles threatens Veronica in the elevator. Beaver meets Veronica and puts a gun on her. Veronica explains her hypothesis that he killed Marcos and Peter so they don't have to spill news of their molestation, that he got explosives from David Curly Moran, convinced the passengers that Curly destroyed the bus before killing Curly himself, also writing Veronica Mars on his palm. Veronica asks Beaver how she got chlamydia, what he had it, and Beaver transmitted it to her the night she was raped, revealing that he, not Duncan, raped her. Beaver is about to blow up the plane that has both Woody and Keith on it. Beaver pushes a button, and there's a flash in midair. Beaver tases Veronica before Logan appears, having read the text to Mac. The two steal Beaver's gun, and he ends up committing suicide instead of facing the consequences of his actions. Aaron and Kendall are in bed, and while she is in the shower, Clarence Wiedemann appears and shoots him in the head. The scene moves to Australia, where we learn that Duncan organized the murder. Jackie meets Wallace and tells him that she had to go back to New York, where she is actually from, in order to care for her 2-year-old son, whom she left with her mother when she came to Neptune to reconnect with Terrence. Veronica learns that Keith is alive. He was never on the plane, but Woody was. Kendall receives $8 million, as Cassidy basically gave her the money as part of her plan. Veronica and Logan rekindle their relationship. Yay! Kendall makes Keith a business proposal, and as a result, he misses their plane flight to New York. And that's the end of season 2, so yeah. Anyway, let's take a look at the arc significance surrounding this episode. The episode finalizes several plot strands of the second season. Together, Keith and Vinnie Van Lowe track down Woody Goodman and arrest him. Veronica imagines graduation if Lily had not been murdered, and then actually graduates. Jackie reveals the true past to Wallace before leaving him finally. Veronica learns that Beaver was responsible for the bus crash and gave her chlamydia after he raped her. Beaver explodes the plane with Woody Goodman on it. Logan comes up to the roof and attacks Beaver. Afterwards, Beaver commits suicide by jumping off the top of the building. Aaron is murdered by Clarence Wiedemann, and Duncan was responsible for the attack. Veronica and Keith plan to go to New York, but due to a business offer from Kendall, Keith misses their flight. And now finally onto the production of this episode. The episode was co-written by Rob Thomas and John Enbaum and directed by John T. Kretschmer. Margie Thomas' 6th writing credit for Veronica Mars, Enbaum's 10th writing credit for the series, and Kretschmer's 9th directing credit for the show. Now a picture reveals that Cassidy Beaver Casablancas is the perpetrator behind Veronica's rape and the bus crash. Thomas and the crew had planned for Beaver to be the second season antagonist since the character's first appearance in Mad. Thomas said, quote, "We knew that Beaver was the killer of Season 2 when we introduced him in Season 1. We knew his motivation, so playing him as the picked-upon, less manly Casablancas boy was all by design." An episode earlier in the series, A Trip to the Dentist, supposedly revealed that Duncan had sex with Veronica when they were both under the influence of drugs, a fact which is potentially negated by this episode. When writing the episode, Thomas and Diane Ruggiero did not plan for Beaver to be the actual rapist. Thomas saying that, quote, "I wish I could claim that we were that clever." Lead actress Kristen Bell, who deduced that Aaron Eccles was the killer in Season 1, was unable to figure out the identity of the murderer in Season 2. You never ever see the show keep the killer in the main titles, and the writers think they're so smart, and they are. Actor Michael Mooney, who plays Don Lamb, expressed some anxiety over the course of the season that he would be the killer. Belle played a prank on Mooney, telling him that she knew the killer was going to be Loretta Cancun, a minor character from the pilot. Belle said, "Mooney only believed me for like a day." Kyle Gallner, who plays Beaver, did not know that his character was going to be the murderer until just before the shooting of Not Pictured. One of the costume designers told him about the reveal. I had no idea up until right before we shot the episode. They wouldn't tell me. The only reason I found out was a wardrobe guy got on the script and he was like, "Do you want to know?" And I was like, "What?" And he kind of spilled the beans actually, so I had no idea. I thought it was more along the lines of I was younger than everybody, so I wasn't going off to college. That's why I was only in one season. I didn't know it was because that whole thing was going to happen. So I really didn't know until probably about a week before. The episode features the final appearance of Harry Hamlin as Season 1 antagonist Aaron Eccles after the character is murdered by Clarence Weidman. Later we learned that the murder was ordered by Duncan Kane, who appears briefly in a small cameo. Duncan had made his final regular appearance in Donut Run, and left the show partly due to fan dislike of the character. Dunn later stated that he thought that the purpose of the cameo was to garner sympathy for the character before his final departure. I think Rob's goal was to leave the character a high note. I certainly think he did so in a heroic way. Not Pictured marked the final appearance by series regular Jackie Cook. When asked whether Jackie was done with the show, Thomas replied, "She is. I would not hesitate for a second to have her come in to do an arc, but she will not be a series regular." One notable recurring character absence in the finale is that of Gia Goodman. Ritter wanted to appear in the episode, but she was unable to do so because of scheduling conflicts. It was hard for me that I couldn't be in the finale episode because I was looking forward to showing how everything that went down affected her. On a side note, I did start to think that I was responsible for the crash. I really wanted her to be a bad guy. She would later appear in the Veronica Mars movie. Not Pictured was the final episode of Veronica Mars to air on UPN before the show switched to the CW as part of the 2006 United States Broadcast TV realignment. Due to low ratings, there was considerable doubt that Veronica Mars would be renewed. The CW had developed several new pilots. However, the CW did not pick up the majority of their pilots, making room in the schedule for other shows. In order to express their support for the show's renewal, plans flew a banner outside of the offices of UPN and the CW. Renewal wasn't started until after the finale aired. In April, actor Enrico Colantoni, who plays Keith, stated regarding renewal, and officially, everyone at CBS and Warner Brothers saying, "Yeah, no worries," but those are always famous last words. Then last year, they told us 2 days after we wrapped, and they got all the criticism over that. So I know they're not going to make that mistake again. They're going to wait until May. Colantoni also expressed optimism toward the show's future on the CW, believing that it would be a chance for the show to get more exposure. On May 15th, before the official press release was announced, it was believed that the CW had ordered 13 episodes of Veronica Mars. Later, it was revealed that the series had been renewed for a 22-episode season, but the season could be shortened if ratings were poor. Yeah, we'll see how that happens when we get to talking about season 3 next year, so yeah. So overall, I think that this is a pretty good finale to season 2, and while it's not as good as season 1, it's still pretty good nonetheless. So overall, I give Not Pictured 5 marshmallows out of 5. Thank you all so much for watching Mystery March 2021, and I can't wait till next year till we look at season 3 of Veronica Mars, and I'll also be looking at the movie following that. So yeah, basically next year is gonna be season 3 plus the movie. So yeah, and then the year after that, season 3. So yeah, season 4. So yeah. Anyway, well, until next time, remember everyone, the game's afoot.